me with the horn, 20. Keep making noise. Keep making noise. Yeah.
Hey guys, I know it's been a really long time, but we're finally back. Reason for the long layoff is I've been coaching. I somehow got duped into coaching JV girls soccer, and I know what you're thinking. We've never heard you talk about soccer, and that's because I don't know a damn thing about soccer, but whatever. I coached them. We started out 4-0. We proceeded to get an insane number of injuries. We dropped like 5 of 6. Got a couple more games this week. I mean, whatever. But we're here this week with Drew. Drew is back finally. How you doing, bud?
I'm doing well. How about you?
Overworked, and no MSU anymore. But before we get to that sad topic, I want to bring up something that's somewhat lighthearted, so we don't just jump right into the sad stuff. I listen to a lot of podcasts, as most of my friends know. One that I love is the Jalen Rose Report on Grantland. And Jalen Rose, he talks about being an old school guy. He's a little older. He talks about how he listens to records. And what he does is he just gets a new record, he sits down, and he just plays it and he listens to it beginning to end while doing nothing else. Is that weird to you?
I've never done it. That doesn't really answer your question, but I feel like that's like a real old school way of listening to music. You know, that's what you did back when you had vinyl and, you know, before computers and other more fun stimulus. You just kind of sat down and you listened to the new record that came out because that was the only way you were going to hear it. And, you know, it's kind of, I like it, kind of nostalgic. I'm going to try it.
Well, I've actually adopted it. It's my new thing now. So
Oh, yeah?
I bought Spotify Platinum or Plus or Mega Ultra. I don't know what it's called, but the extra version of Spotify. I pay for that.
Yep.
And my first ever album that, I don't know, I think he came up with the term. He calls it digesting an album, but I'm just going with it. But I sat down and I digested Rick Ross's album, Mastermind, where I just sat there. I did nothing but listen to an album beginning to end. It was humbling. But it was a good album, and I recommend it. Like, just sitting back and just listening to an album, I got into it. I was shucking and jiving, I guess you might say. Just
Yeah,
more
I probably
throwback terms for a throwback style.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't say that, but you know, if you want to, go for it. But like I said, I'm on board. I'm going to try this digesting thing in the near future. Hopefully something will come out soon that I can digest.
I did it with the Schoolboy Q album too. I had never really listened to Schoolboy Q, but it wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if you're a fan at all of the Q.
He's all right. I like him on stuff he's been on in the past. For those of you who don't know who he is, I think that that Macklemore song that's on the radio a lot now, the White Walls, Schoolboy Q's in that. And he's all right. You know, he's kind of a newbie, so he had some serious misses on that album, but whatever.
Yeah, yes, definitely. I would say that. There were a couple songs that were all right. He's a little, he's pretty vulgar, which, I mean, I'm not trying to sound like a grandpa, but it caught me off guard. I don't know why I wasn't expecting that, but
yeah.
He was.
Well, like I was saying earlier, he kind of runs with that Kendrick Black Hippie crew, and for some reason I kind of expected him to sound like that, and like you said, it wasn't.
Yeah. I did it with Rick Ross. Great experience. Really exciting. Like, almost single-handedly threw me back into the rap game. So I'm hyped now about rap again. I did it with Schoolboy Q. I was kind of doing other stuff at that point. You can only listen to so much music by itself before you have to do something else. So I started to do other stuff during Schoolboy Q, and then I recently tried it again with the Imagine Dragons album. Terrible idea.
Terrible idea.
Absolutely terrible. And not because the album's not good, and not because that's not a good band, but
it's because it's music, I think. This is my theory. Like, if I'm studying or writing or reading, I cannot listen to rap music because I just listen to the words and I get distracted. But I can put on anything else that has some sort of melody and instruments behind it, and I'm fine. And that's probably what it is. It's hard to listen to the music just straight through. I don't know.
Yeah, dude, I'm the same way actually. Like, I can't listen to rap and I can't listen to music with words, period. Like when I study, I listen to like dubstep usually. Like
just get real hype.
Weird. I just I just listen to some dubstep. But sometimes I'll just put on weird noises. Like I'll just be like, give me a 45-minute clip of forest noises, and I'll just listen to a forest. So there's like creaking and birds and stuff. I don't know.
I mean, that's one way to do it. Forest noises, all right.
Forest noises. One time I found on YouTube, it was 90 consecutive minutes of rain on a river. It was just rain on water on water noise.
That would put me to sleep in about 5 seconds.
Yeah, I just studied. I don't know. But back to sports. MSU, we blew it. We got a long time before we're going to have any more MSU sports, and I'm upset about that. It makes me sad. Yeah. What were your overall feelings on the tournament?
It was kind of like the scene in Anchorman when he's in the phone booth, just a glass case of emotions. Because, hear me out. Because leading up into the tournament, we were playing the worst basketball I think I've seen in 3-4 years.
Yeah.
Just nose diving into obscurity. And then we picked it up in the Big Ten tournament. Everyone got healthy at the same time. Dawson went on a tear. And, we came out of the Big Ten tournament just shellacking Michigan. And people were picking us to win the national championship. All
everybody.
Over. Everyone was picking us. I think it was the first time that all the bracketologists picked the same team. And it was us.
Yeah,
so
that was a bad omen.
Yeah, right. I mean, and then we got a great seed, I thought, getting that 4 seed in that region.
Yep.
And it was just like, wow, we might actually do this. 2 weeks ago, I thought we would be lucky to get to the second weekend. And it totally flipped. And then, of course, the game against UConn.
God, UConn they always get us, I feel like.
They have our number, man. They
UConn
beat us
and UNC
the other
always
year.
Beat us.
Yeah. It
bothers me. It just bothers me because it's like, I feel like Izzo doesn't get the nationwide love he should because when we play other nationwide known teams like UConn and UNC, we always lose.
Yeah. Duke.
Yeah.
We've lost to Duke a bunch of times in a row. And, Izzo should get respect for that. That's his thing, is scheduling elite teams early in the year. That's how we built up Michigan State. And it just ends up we get national games during prime time that people see us lose often.
Yeah, even though we beat good teams. We beat good non-conference teams. Just those 3 teams always have our number.
Yeah, and sorry about that. This particular game against UConn, I thought the turnovers were just absurd. Like, we had, especially against Virginia, who's such a great defensive team, we had limited our turnovers so much. And if you're a Tom Izzo team and you don't turn the ball over, you're going to win.
Oh, yeah.
They always play such great defense. We have enough offensive firepower, just in Payne alone, plus Harris, that if you just don't turn the ball over, you're fine. And that's what we did against Virginia. And when it came to UConn, not only stupid turnovers, but just needless ones. They weren't pressuring.
Like lackadaisical turnovers.
Yeah, I love Keith Appling. He's been great, but he was going to give me a tumor on Saturday or Sunday. The way he would just dribble the ball up the court like it wasn't the last 2 minutes of the Elite Eight game. Like, I can't talk about it.
Yeah, I love Appling too. And I know everybody piled on, and I did real hard right when we lost. And I hate to do that considering his body of work was so great at MSU.
Yeah.
But that tournament as a senior, like, you cannot play like that. You cannot be a non-factor. Not only a non-factor, you can't be a negative on your squad when you are a senior on a potential championship caliber team.
Yeah, I saw your status, and I didn't realize his entire tournament was that bad. I was frustrated with that game particularly, but it looks like it was a thing throughout.
Yeah, for people who didn't hear this little stat, throughout the tournament, basically I took all of the good stats that a point guard typically gets, points and assists, and then the bad ones I took personal fouls and turnovers. And I took personal fouls because I felt like a lot of his were just needless, aggressive personal fouls. They weren't quality fouls.
Well, yeah, and against Virginia and UConn, they were in the double bonus really early in the second half.
Yeah.
So it hurt us.
But in the tournament, his combined points and assists and his combined turnovers fouls went like this. He had 4 points and assists, 9 turnovers fouls in the first round. Then he went 9-5, which 9-5. I mean, that's the highest he had was 9 combined points and assists, which is brutal. And then after that, he had 5-6 and 4-9, which means throughout the entire tournament, combined points and assists, the highest he had was 9.
Yeah, and
he fouled out twice.
I mean, we don't need him to score, but that's bad.
We need him to,
especially with the lack of assists.
We need him to get into the lane. We need him to get past his man and collapse the defense.
Yeah.
Put some sort of pressure on the defense. All he did was stagnate the offense, I felt like.
Yeah. This might bleed into a future topic about what we think about the future of the program, but when Denzel had the ball, I was much happier. I had much more confidence in the offense working and finding the open man than when Appling. I mean, what does Appling do? He asks for a pick, and then he takes it wide, and then he either dribbles back out, or that's it. Actually, he just dribbles back out. You're right. He didn't penetrate hardly at all. He had a couple nice moves. I think there was one against UConn where he went left and got that layup with contact, and it was just like that's what you need to be doing, especially tiring out those UConn guards. Like if you're just going to sit there and dribble the ball for 15 seconds, what does that do for anybody?
And I didn't even think about that too. Like at least make them work on the other end.
Yeah,
Napier and what was the other guy? Boatwright?
Yeah, those
were
both.
Guys were just cashing out the entire game, and part of it could be because they didn't have to try on defense at all.
It played the opposite way too. They were running off screens like crazy, and Appling and Harris were getting gas chasing them. I mean, Harris had a great game, so
Harris
whatever.
Played well. Yeah.
But it's a give and a take, and he was just so loose. I just kept thinking that the entire game, and it was pissing me off.
Yeah, we had a couple turnovers too. I know, I think Harris or Valentine had them, where it was they faked a handoff around the outside, and then just turned away, and the man who was trailing the handoff, the defender, just turned around and stole it from our player because he wasn't paying attention. Was just holding the ball all loose. Yeah.
Yeah, I think one of those was definitely Boatwright. He got a dunk on the other end, and those are the needless ones, right? I mean there's no reason for that.
You cannot lose focus in an Elite Eight game like that.
No.
Like if you're not focused in that game, what are you doing? Like why are you on the court? Why do you play if that game doesn't get you hyped and at your peak? Everything should be peaked.
Yeah, and I mean I play basketball, so do you, and I turn the ball over a lot, but I'm really bad, so that's okay. And the difference is if you're making a positive play, if you're driving to the lane or you're trying to make a pass that'll lead a man open, and you turn the ball over, okay. But if you're standing 35 feet from the basket and you're pretending to hand it off during a play that gets you nothing, if it works, you can't have that turnover. I think there was one in one of the games where they inbounded the ball to Appling and he looked the other way and it just rolled out behind him. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, well, okay, there goes possession before anything even started.
We had another one where Trice dribbled it up the court against UConn, and he did a behind the back move just out of bounds.
Just right out of bounds.
Jeez.
It was like there was a dead spot on the floor, except there wasn't. He just was being careless.
Just whatever. It's not important. It's just an Elite Eight game. Whatever.
Yeah, it was so frustrating, and I don't know.
Another thing is AP. I love Adrian Payne. He's one of my favorite Spartans of all time.
Yeah.
But I honestly, I can't remember him taking any inside shots in that entire game. I know he did, but I feel like he spent the entire game out near the arc.
He did, and I think he obviously prefers that. He's not very big, and when he got the ball in the post against Virginia and UConn, they were tripling, immediately. And I think he was just really uncomfortable in that role. And, that would come, if he were to say come back another season or had more time to work on it, we could set up some offense where he would be able to feel comfortable and facilitate out of the double team. But I think one of the first plays we tried to get him the ball, and he got swarmed by 3 guys, and he just kind of scooched the ball out like on the floor to to the point guard, and that doesn't do anything because that's not a quick pass. It doesn't help anything.
Yeah, he doesn't really recognize and then pass out of the double team very well.
No, and so to avoid that, he just kind of hangs around the perimeter. He's a great shooter. I mean, his 3-point shot is ridiculous, and yeah. But at the end of the game, he was missing a lot and taking too many of them.
What do you think about him in the pros? Like, this is what I love. Like I said, I absolutely love AP. Like, not only as a Spartan, but like as a guy, he just seems like an incredible guy.
Yeah.
But I don't have such high hopes for him in the NBA. He has a lot of glaring holes that will be exploited in the NBA. Like, for example, he has a great outside jump shot, but notice that all of his threes were taken with his toes on the line. I've never seen him take an NBA distance 3-point shot.
Yeah.
On top of that, like we said, he doesn't pass out of the double team in the post very well. And another habit he has where NBA guards will just punish him like ruthlessly on this is he constantly brings the ball down to like waist height.
Yeah, he does. And that's part of why he can't get out of the double team.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I like all the points you're making. I remember reading your article about him being a blocks and 3 guy.
Yeah.
Maybe the first one ever.
Yeah.
And I think it's hard to project because there, like you said in that article, there's really not precedent for what he is. If he plays a 4 in the NBA, I think he's a little more successful. I mean, he's been here for 4 years. He hasn't gotten that much bigger, so I don't know how big he'll ever be. And then he'll just get abused in the post in the NBA. But
he will. He is thin.
He's the kind of guy that needs to play on the Rockets, like with Dwight, or he's the kind of guy who you could use to defend like a Kevin Love or a Ryan Anderson, 4s who like to float, because his foot speed on perimeter defense is incredible. Like, he will get in front of guards who are trying to cross him over, and that's a good thing. But again, because he's so bad in the post, I just don't know who he guards or where he plays.
Yeah, offensively, I'm really worried about him in the NBA offensively. I don't know where he'll fit in.
It's tough. If he was a little smaller and quicker, he could be like a Chandler Parsons type. But he's a little too big and frumpy to do that. So I don't know. I feel like some team will take a flyer on him, maybe late first round, a playoff team, maybe second round, and just, I don't know.
I would love to see him go to a team like the Spurs.
A system team?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That'd be nice. That'd be good for him, personally.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I would like that pick a lot, too. Especially, he could kind of play that Matt Bonner role, but give them something on defense.
Exactly, yeah.
Besides standing there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that a lot, actually.
Yeah, he has, he could be like that Matt Bonner role. He does have a kind of a slow release, though. He does duck really low and then come up. And again, those are little things where you can get away with them in college, but you will not get away with it in the pros.
Yeah.
Like, those are little things, but they'll be capitalized on so ruthlessly that it'll ruin your game.
Well, we should say that neither of us are thinking he's going to be like a lottery pick. Like, he's not going to be expected to come in and play 25 minutes. So he'll have some time to develop and get better at that stuff. And based on what I've seen through his time here, he is perfectly capable of improving his game.
Oh, yeah.
He went from pretty awful to, I don't know, he could have been the National Player of the Year if he'd stayed healthy. Well, not against McDermott. But
for an example, imagine if in 4 years Gavin Schilling was like a borderline lottery pick, as opposed to the man with hands made of stone that he is right now.
That's about what it was. I mean, did he even play much his freshman year?
Barely.
I don't think he ever started. Nix was here. Day played the 4 sometimes. Yeah, he wasn't good until that Indiana game last year. It all clicked one game.
It was so weird because it really did. Like, he went from being like at best a role player to just being like a borderline lottery pick in one game and never turned back.
It was. I have never seen anything like it. Really, what was he like 4 for 5 from 3, and from then on out he scored like 20 a game.
Yeah,
for the rest of the
like
year.
That. It was incredible. It was one of the biggest turnarounds I've ever seen.
AP. All right, we'll miss him here.
What do you think about who else we got? I mean, Harris is obviously going to go, and he's going to go lottery. Yeah. I'm excited about Harris in the NBA because he has NBA range. He takes deep threes, and they look good. Yep. And when he shoots a ball, he looks good. He's a great defender, so if all else fails, he can always fall back on his defense, which is something that not a lot of college players have the luxury of doing when they come out.
Yeah, I like him a lot. He reminds me, I think what he'll be is something like what Gerald Henderson is now. I think that's like his floor, right? Henderson came in as a great defender, a really good athlete, and he learned how to shoot, and he's a better shooter now. Mm-hmm. I think Harris has that shot, and he has those other two things. So I think that's like his floor. His ceiling, I think he could be one of the top 2 guards in the league. There aren't many good ones now.
Yeah, it's a thin position, yeah.
Maybe like a borderline all-star, depending on the year. Like, I think he could be that good.
Down the road, because he's another guy who's just a really hardworking, humble person. So, he's not the type of guy who's going to come in, max out early, and then lose. He's going to work on his craft. Mm-hmm. So he could definitely work his way up into, upper echelon style player, at least position-wise.
I think so. I mean, he's got the size and the athleticism. Him coming back tells me that, like you said, he's focused on, hard work. He didn't just take because he would have been a lottery pick last year, easy, in that terrible draft.
Oh, yeah.
And he would have, made bank. But he came back. He got, appreciably better. Like, he is better this year than he was last year by a lot. And, I think I would love my team to grab him, but he'll probably be gone before that.
One thing I would like to see him work on is his dribbling. Like, he doesn't really get by his defender very easily off the dribble. I like to see him just become better, because in the NBA, in this day and age, you need a secondary ball handler. And I don't know if I really see him as a secondary ball handler yet.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, now that I think about it. He doesn't, he's a great spot-up shooter. That's what they use him for. He was great off screens, and most of his athletic plays, his dunks and stuff came in transition. So yeah,
yeah, when he already has a step on somebody.
Mm-hmm. And in the NBA with a short shot clock, you got to be able to create a shot. And yeah, I mean, if he can do that, I mean, it makes him even better. Then he's like in the Dwayne Wade conversation in terms of what type of player he would be.
Yeah, I have high hopes for Gary Harris, because what Spartans need right now is we need a good NBA player, because Zebo's on his way out. Jay Rich looks like he ate Jay Rich. He's just not in the league, basically. There's just not any good Spartans out there. Shannon Brown, I saw him on a team recently. I don't even remember who. Who just beat Indiana or Portland? Who just beat Portland the other night?
I don't remember. Is he back in the Lakers?
No. I forgot who. I just saw him recently. He just got a breakaway layup.
He fell off fast.
Yeah, he was not good. He's a guy that should have stayed another year, and he didn't.
Probably.
Speaking of that, Dawson is a guy who needs to stay another year, or his career will fizzle immediately.
Yeah.
Do you think he's going to go?
Well, I don't start by saying I don't want him to. I think you're right. He needs to stay for himself and for the team. And I thought he was going to stay, but then I talked to a buddy of mine who was mentioning that, he had a great run at the end of the year after he came back from injury. He apparently has a kid, so I don't know if that factors into it at all. If he, leans a little bit more towards the money. The only thing I would think is that being a second-round pick, I don't think you get any guaranteed money. So he's not a first-round pick.
Oh, no.
So that would have to go into a decision. I don't know. And the fact that our team just might not be that good next year he could think this is the time to go. What about you? What do you think?
I just feel like I don't think a team will take him. I have a feeling that he could be a guy who announces for the draft and then nobody takes him. Or he's taken 59th or something like that. Because, I mean, when you look at him, he's big for college, but he's incredibly undersized for the pros. He's what, 6'6",
Mm-hmm.
which means he's going to have to play a 2-guard. He doesn't have nearly the ball handling skills to be a 2-guard.
No.
He has like below average ball handling skills for a big man. There's just no team that's going to go out there and be like, I want an undersized power forward who's not the best passer, not the best dribbler, and has an underdeveloped post game sort of thing. Like, what is he going to bring to a team other than hustle and athleticism? But at his size, is he more athletic than the rest of the NBA? Not really, not enough.
Mm-hmm.
He could be the next Darvin Ham.
Oh,
maybe
dunk contest participant.
Duncan Dawson.
There you go. Yeah, I mean, I agree with what you're saying. I think, is he only 6'6", really? He looks so big.
I know, he's so built.
Yeah, he looked like that as a senior in high school, but one thing that he's really good at and that always translates is rebounding. Again, if you're talking about him playing a 2-guard or a 3, you don't really care about rebounding that much. But I think he would be an interesting, again, he should come back and he probably won't get drafted, but he'd be an interesting summer league guy for a team that's looking for an athlete who can play some perimeter defense, who can bully some people around, and, you know, like you said, hustle. Again, I think probably anyone works on the Spurs, but I think he would probably be a player that could work on a team like that, or just any really good team where he doesn't have to do anything offensively, pretty much.
Anybody who's just has like any sort of project style to him, you just send him to the Spurs and just assume that they'll be turned into like a 15-8 style player.
And you never know, you know. But
Dawson,
I think he could be a wing defender, don't you?
Yeah, I was gonna say Dawson tops out as like maybe a Tony Allen.
Yeah.
They're about the same size, same bulldog hustle mentality. Can't shoot, although Tony Allen is a far superior shooter to Dawson, but I guess that's what I could see him topping out at. And I mean topping out at. If you put him in the league right now, he wouldn't make a roster, in my opinion.
No, he's too much of a liability in too many areas. But
yes.
What's interesting about him is I think he could be a pro in Europe. I think, even though he can't shoot, which is important there, I think his size will be more impactful. And I think we always think, oh, he won't make it in the NBA. He has no career. There's a lot of basketball leagues around the world. And I think he could do something like that.
Absolutely. This man will play basketball for a living.
Mm-hmm.
And he will make thousands of dollars doing it. I mean, I don't know how much he get paid in Europe. I was going to say hundreds of thousands, but it might just be like an accountant's wage. I don't know. But it's not like you're going to walk into you're into progressive and Dawson's going to be behind the desk. This guy's going to play professional basketball. And definitely in Europe he could do it. Because with his size, dude, he is so jacked.
It's crazy.
And he is incredibly athletic. So he will be able to play somewhere. Somewhere where size isn't as dominant. As in, all the incredibly crazy athletic big men are in the NBA. So if he goes into a lesser league, somewhere in Europe, he won't get dominated by guys that do what he do, but are, 5 inches taller.
Oh, light bulb moment. What about the NFL? Tight end, man. 6'6", he's a great rebounder.
That's a great idea. Oh, I love that idea.
He should try out for the Rose Bowl champion, Michigan State Spartans, in the fall.
Can you? You can't do that. I don't think that's not an option.
Sure you can. There was that one, Trannon. He played both, and then Izzo made him pick, and he picked football like an idiot. But
I think he played. I think your years of eligibility, you don't have 4 per sport. You couldn't just play 4 in football and 4 in lacrosse and just play college sports forever. They always have to play at the same time.
Right, well, just kill my dreams then. He can try out for an NFL team, I guess. Right?
Browns, maybe? I don't know. No, the Browns actually
now we're picking NFL teams.
The Jacksonville Jaguars?
They need anything, right?
They'll take anything. Anybody.
They took Denard.
Yeah, and look at how that turned out. At one point, he had more lost fumbles than he had, yards.
Oh, really?
I think so. I might have made that up.
Never
but
did.
He did at one point have, single-digit total yards gained and like 1 lost fumble.
Nice.
Which made me really happy. That could be Dawson. I mean, come on. Come on, NFL. Give him a flyer.
I'm telling you, man. All those great tight ends, right? Jimmy Graham, Gonzalez was the first, Gates. They all played basketball.
Yeah.
All great rebounders.
Any of them not play any college football?
Did Gates?
I don't know. At Kent State, isn't that where he went?
Yeah, do they have a football team?
I don't know. Maybe.
I remember he was really good at basketball though. He was like a 13, 14 rebound guy. And
dang.
Gonzo, I think probably played both. I'm just making things up now. I don't know.
We're just speculating. I mean, yes, we
saying.
could Google this, but
that would require typing.
We're in the middle of digesting a conversation. We don't have time for Google. What do you think about next year? Like, what's your knee-jerk reaction to next year? Because let's assume Dawson comes back.
Okay.
Of course, we're going to lose AP, Appling, and we're going to lose Harris.
Yep.
Let's assume Dawson comes back. Like, what do you think?
I hate to cite your Facebook feed again, sound like a creeper, but I agree with you. I agree with how much you like Ellis. I think he's going to be a really good guard. Like,
I love Ellis. For
the flashes,
flashes
of him, he is going to be a beast playing perimeter defense, and he's like his explosiveness is ridiculous. I can't remember a Michigan State guard with that quick of a first step. Maybe Kalen, but Kalen was a little smaller, I think.
Oh yeah.
So what he could become, I mean, he's super raw, but what he could become, whoo! I mean, what do you think?
I see him as a possible, in 3 years, by his senior year, being a possible NBA prospect. But granted, I am like, whatever a bandwagon. Who drives a bandwagon? Is a conductor? I'm the conductor of the AE3 bandwagon.
All right, I'm on board.
Dude, I love him.
Might just be us two, but
he's the AE. It's not even a bandwagon. It's just a coupe.
2-door.
But I love that guy. Like, he's incredibly athletic. Like you said, he's a good defender. He fouls at a really high rate, but I think that's a freshman thing. Like, he will refine that. He'll be a good defender.
And we don't know, that could be part. I mean, that he doesn't play any minutes.
That's
so
true.
Izzo could just say, if you pick up a foul, just do it. Like, just be a dog.
Yeah, Izzo might just be saying, like, play as hard as you can. You're only going to get 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid of foul trouble.
Yeah.
But next year, I think he's going to be our sixth man. And I think we're going to go Trice starting.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're going to go Trice, Valentine, Dawson, Costello, and Kaminsky.
Just have
Kaminsky at the 4. I'm sorry.
Having no real center.
Yeah, I guess Costello is our 5, Dawson at 3, and Kaminsky at 4. Because then we have like 3 guys out there with size, even though Kaminsky's not a good rebounder.
Yeah.
But what are we going to do, man? We're going to be small.
I think it would be Dawson at 4 even, really. Like,
and Kaminsky at 3?
Like, practically speaking, yeah, maybe not in the lineup card, but Dawson's going to play on the block. I mean, he showed some of that during the tournament. And Kaminsky does not go anywhere inside the 3-point line on offense, so.
No, he's not about that life.
No. But even if Dawson leaves, I think that, or even if he stays, I think the team is going to be more of like an old school Michigan State team where we're not highly ranked. We sneak up on some people. We have very low scoring games because we have to win using defense. And I think Valentine is going to have a great year.
So do I.
The first time I saw him play his freshman year, I was like, that's Draymond Green, but a few inches shorter. Like, can do everything.
Yeah.
And I think I would rather him just facilitate the offense over Trice. I like Trice shooting those wing jumpers, but, whatever we do, I think Valentine will be our guy next year that really steps up.
Yeah, Valentine, his vision is just like otherworldly.
It's ridiculous.
I haven't seen a college player with the vision he has in a long time. Like, ever, honestly. To make the passes he makes, ever since he was a freshman, too, he's been making them. Like, imagine when he's a junior or senior who doesn't force passes as much, isn't as easily excitable. Like, he's going to be deadly.
Yeah, he'll just be like a chess master, just sitting up there,
Yeah.
waiting for the cut and just those one-handed, like, I don't even know what you call them. Those like zip passes.
Snap.
I sound like such a
snap.
I
don't
sound
know.
like such a noob. Like, the little passes when he flicks it.
You know what I'm talking
I
about,
don't know
right?
what to call it.
The snappy passes.
It reminds me of the LeBron pass, right? Where he's standing up at the point and he just kind of whips it around his body to a cutter. That's like what Valentine can do, and it's incredible when he does it. I mean,
yeah,
so
so much
I think
fun to watch.
Next year's the year of the Denzel.
Oh yeah, where he blows up, and I think Ellis is going to take a big leap, and he's going to come off our bench and maybe even start some games.
Well, with Trice's history, he'll definitely start some games.
Oh yeah, Trice will have something.
Yeah,
something crazy.
A headache or whatever. Travis Trice, if you're listening, I apologize. I'm not trying to diminish your injury history or anything. I love you, man.
Yeah, we understand you had like a brain disease. So I guess that's not a joke. But yeah, I'm like, mark my word too. There's going to be a point where Russell Bird steps up and he does something. I think it's going to be next year. I think there's so many guys on the team like right now that are going to be gone to where he's going to be like, you know what? Nobody on this team knows how much I suck. This is where I can start over. And he like doesn't have to be so flippin' nervous all the time. The guy's always nervous, I feel like.
Yeah. A shooter that good airballing most of his shots can only mean nerves. I mean, it's ridiculous. If you go to a game and watching warm-ups, he's like 9 for 10 from 3. Gets in the game, just airballs by 3 feet.
Airball. Packed.
Side of the backboard.
Like tries to take a 3. Like, why?
Just stuffed. All right, well, I'm not shooting again, is what he says.
Yeah, he's going to be like, all right, well, Appling and Payne and Harris aren't here to see me suck anymore. He's like, if I can just talk to Dawson and, like, make sure he doesn't tell anybody, maybe I'll be all right. And he has the beard of a very quality.
Oh, dude, him and Costello, man. Him and Costello are killing it right now.
I was proud of that.
I don't know if this was one of the things we wanted to talk about, but can we talk for a second about Izzo striking out recently in recruiting? It's getting kind of bad, right?
Yeah. That's why I'm so nervous about next year. Tum, is it Hearns or whatever this Tum guy? Like, why is a 3-star undersized point guard our top recruit?
Because I think Izzo's going for the elite. I think it was that kind of that wave of after going to 2 Final Fours, that generation of kids was like, oh yeah, I'd go to Michigan State. You know, I've seen him on TV, and he's never done that in the past, really, right? I mean, Zach Randolph was big, Shannon Brown, big recruit. There weren't many more that were that. I mean, those guys were like top 5. And in the last couple of years, he's gone after Parker and missed. He's gone after Tyus Jones, Okafor, Cliff Alexander, all in this class coming in, missed on all of them. And I remember hearing stories, he was at Tyus Jones' high school basketball games, like his freshman year. Like, it's fine if you think you can get him, but that time can be spent recruiting other guys that will actually come.
Yeah.
And if he just gets back to recruiting in the 50s and 60s nationally, you know, staying in Michigan in the Midwest. You know, where's Harris from? Indiana, right?
Yeah, I believe he's from Gary, Indiana.
Okay. Dawson's from Indiana. Payne was from Ohio. Trice, Ohio.
Costello's a Michigan guy.
Yep, he was like Bay City or something. Appling obviously Michigan. He's a Detroiter.
Yep.
So he can stay in town essentially and get guys. And I hope he starts doing that as opposed to just competing with the Caliparis and the Coach K's, and it's frustrating to miss so much.
It sucks that geographically we're so close to like the biggest high school hotbed of talent in America when we're right around the corner from Chicago, you know?
Yeah.
So I feel like every once in a while, or at least now, Izzo's like, you know, why don't we delve into Chicago here and see what we can do? And he can't touch recruiting there because even like he was like one beer away from saying, look, I'm not paying these guys to come here, and Calipari and them are. Like, yeah. You remember that? I don't know if you heard that conference.
I remember hearing some of the clips, and yeah.
And I just feel like you're right. There is so much basketball played in this country that he doesn't have to go to Chicago to get these studs. I mean, yeah, if he wants a one and done, go to Chicago. those are incredible athletes. I mean, they litter the NBA and they litter the college scene.
Yeah.
But he's made a living. His bread and butter has been taking these 3 and 4 star guys that people have overlooked and grooming them into Final Four teams.
And that's what I want as a fan. That's what I prefer as a fan, because I don't want to keep bringing in new guys every year, and watching them struggle early on. Like a guy like Denzel Valentine is going to be here for 4 years, and it's going to be awesome to watch him play. And he was he was in the 50s or 60s, I think, somewhere out of Lansing, I'm pretty sure. Those are the kind of guys we should be looking at.
Yeah, and if you look at Harris and Valentine, for example, Harris is a better basketball player than Valentine. He probably always will be. But when it's all said and done, I will love Valentine as a fan and as a Spartan way more than I will Harris, because Valentine will have been here for 4 years. We'll have seen him grow, seen him grow up. And I mean, as a guy, like as a man and as a basketball player. And Harris, we didn't really see that much of. I mean, he came in, he was good, and now he's gone. You don't really make an emotional connection with these one and done guys.
And really, Valentine year 3 and 4 is going to be better, especially in pressure situations, than Harris's year 1 and 2. Yeah. I mean, that's just how it always works. I mean, remember Travis Walton? How amazing he was? He was like a 2-star recruit out of Ohio. And Izzo should just get back to doing that. I mean, I'm sure that's really hard to do too, but...
I have a picture of Travis Walton in my office that I'm in right now, on the wall.
Is he your favorite player?
No, my girlfriend loves him.
Oh.
She has a picture of him, I should say.
Well, yeah, he was great.
I'm looking at Travis Walton right now. I will never have a Gary Harris.
No.
A Gary Harris picture in my house. I would buy a Valentine one eventually.
Yeah, and
gap tooth and all.
And as
looking like a caricature in a State jersey.
And like, I love the NBA, and I'm sure in 5 years when Harris is awesome, I'll be bragging to everyone that he played at MSU. But like you said, he's not going down like Payne. Although Payne was a great recruit too. He was top 20.
Yeah, that's
but he's not going down like Valentine, like Travis Walton, like those kind of guys. Drew Neitzel, I remember him. I mean, these guys are just like legends here. And you can't beat Kentucky when you're trying to recruit. So you got to do something different. And if we had played Kentucky this year with, 4 guys that were seniors maybe, or juniors and seniors, we would have beat them.
Yeah. I mean, we played them to start the year and we smacked them. I mean, granted, they're a way different team now. With a full year under their belt, but still.
But even so, I mean, they're playing well. I guess maybe I shouldn't automatically say we would beat them. They just beat Michigan, who has a bunch of
the Final Four.
Older players. But yeah, and Louisville, who won the national championship last year or whatever.
But we're all about the 3 and 4 star recruits. All right, we don't need those guys.
Anyways, little recruiting rant there, but.
And I want to make clear, I would take any one and done guy, and I believe you're the same way. If Jabari Parker would have came to MSU, I would have been ecstatic. But
it's more about
there are other ways of doing it, and we are not going to succeed if we try it that way.
Yeah, I mean, we went for Parker, missed. We got Ellis, who we both like, and Schilling. That's it. We missed on all these guys, Cliff Alexander, Tyus Jones, this coming up year, and we ended up with whoever, Tom. I don't even know who that is.
Tum Hearns. Who I don't know if it's Hearns. I don't know why I keep saying Hearns. But Tum is his first name. And apparently all the rave is his intangibles and leadership. But it's in a way where it's like Izzo said from day one, like literally he says he's never seen a guy at that age that when he speaks, like people listen, like he commands a room, which is cool. That's great.
Yeah. That sounds like Travis Walton. Maybe we're onto something here. I'm going to look up Tum real quick. TUM.
Yep.
Is it really?
Yep. With or without hyphen? I don't know.
Oh, man. Well, there's nothing.
Oh, that's not good.
I get he's not very good, right? I'll have to heighten my searching techniques here.
I'm going to search. Tum. Hearns can't be his name. I don't know why I keep saying Hearn. Hearns.
Oh, there's a hyphen. Tum Nairn.
Nairn.
Yeah.
Ugh. But yeah, he's like an undersized guy. I actually kind of have high hopes for him. Not next year, but down the road, because he is an Izzo style recruit. Like Izzo will make this guy good.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, I'm reading an article quickly here. Mateen likes him, so I'm on board.
Anything Mateen likes, I'm good. I'm good with.
Cool. All right. Well, I don't know what he's ranked, but if this ends up being exactly what we were saying Izzo should be doing, then I guess we can't knock him for it.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's about it. I guess we can kind of wrap it up here.
Yeah.
I'm excited for next year, not in a sense of I feel like we're going to be a championship contender or even a Big Ten championship contender, but I am excited to see a Michigan State team be an underdog again because we have performed well as underdogs.
Yeah.
I could see this being a team that shocks a couple teams and we end up in the Elite Eight again or the Sweet 16 or something like that.
Mm-hmm. I agree 100%. Next year's team is going to be the kind of team that might struggle a little bit in out of conference play, and then could just end up winning the Big Ten championship, just randomly, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to see that, and I'm really excited to see, like you said, Ellis and some of these younger guys get more responsibility.
Yeah. All right. I think that's it. Anything as NBA playoffs approach? Anything you've had your eye on? Anything you're excited for?
I mean, we're getting down to the nitty gritty here. We're talking about less than 10 games, it looks like, for most teams. I'm excited to see if the Knicks make the playoffs. They're right on the edge there. I'm excited to see who actually is first in the East. Indiana's fallen off hard.
Yeah, it's been brutal.
And that's about it. I think this year has been every year's one long lead up to the playoffs, but there hasn't been many stories outside of LeBron versus Durant this year. I think once we get to the playoffs, we'll have, I think, a really good year of playoffs, and I'm excited for that.
I think so. I'm super excited for the playoffs. One thing I'm excited about going into the playoffs is where Washington is going to land. Actually, I know that's irrelevant because they're not going to beat Indiana or Miami, but I do really think John Wall is going to have a big playoff year, even if it's just one series. I think we're going to see a side of John Wall, or at least the nation will see a side of John Wall that maybe they didn't know was there, as just a intense competitor and a guy who really leads his team. As of right now, they're currently, like, the playoffs started today, they're matched up with Toronto, and I think they would beat Toronto. So if they started right now, you'd have Chicago, Brooklyn, and Washington, Toronto, and I'm kind of excited to see how that 3-6 finishes out.
Yeah. It says here that Toronto won the season series 3-1, but Washington with their injuries this year has been up and down, so I'm not sure where those games fell. But yeah, I've been watching the Wizards all year. I had both Wall and Beal in my fantasy teams, and Wall is something else, man. He's the fastest player in the league, I would say.
He's so fast.
He's just lightning.
He's so powerful. Yeah, he is. When he takes off, like end to end, he's just a blur.
Mm-hmm. And I think you're right. I think he'll blow up, kind of like Derrick Rose did that one year against the Celtics.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would like to see, what I'm predicting is Miami, Indiana, Chicago, and Washington being ideally that's my 4 that make the second round. There's a good chance that Washington and Chicago play each other in the first round.
Mm-hmm.
But I would like to see those 4 make it to the second round because I think in the East, you can't really judge teams based on are they going to beat Indiana or Miami because they're not. But Washington is one of those few games that could maybe win a game or 2.
A little Golden State from last year kind of action.
Yes.
Sneak up on some people.
Exactly. Like maybe force a crucial
crucial
game 3.
All the pundits
it's tied
are picking
1-1, but then Indiana comes out and just beats them by 35 or something like that. But it was fun while it lasted. I think Washington can do that.
How about the Charlotte Michael Jordans upsetting the Pacers in the first round? How do you feel about that?
No way.
No way?
The Pacers will be fine when the playoffs start. They'll be fine. There is no team in the East that is going to touch Miami or Indiana in 7 games.
Yeah, it's
as I say that, I am second guessing myself because Brooklyn has been quietly one of the best teams in the league since the All-Star break, and I love Chicago. But Chicago just works too hard.
Yeah, they'll like last year they'll fizzle out. They'll be throwing up on the sidelines.
They can't They never, if you ever watch a Chicago game, they never score easy buckets. And that's in the regular season. Like, they just have to work too hard to succeed.
Yeah.
They have to play at their absolute maximum, like, peak level in order to beat really elite teams. In 7-game series, I mean.
It's unsustainable, so.
Exactly. But that's about it. I guess we can actually wrap it up then. Some NBA talk. Maybe we should get back, do a little, like, playoff preview, matchup by matchup when they're actually settled in.
Sounds like it'll be a couple weeks, maybe.
Yeah.
2-3 weeks. Sounds good, yeah. I'm excited. I gotta buy some better cable so I get TNT.
You don't have TNT?
No, it's been rough.
Oh, God. All right. Yeah, that needs to change. But yeah, we'll do something in a couple weeks. Put it on your calendar.
Will do, man.
All right, bud. I'll see you.
All right, take care.